Hi, my name is Bethany, and this is the Capital K Knitting Podcast. I am here to share knitting projects and progress and new techniques that I've learned and ask for your help sometimes. And if you watched the last episode, you'll notice that Emily's not with me this time. And that's just because she is swamped. She's been in a show recently. I think she just closed yesterday, did closing night. And then she just got a full-time job at the place that she's been interpreting historically for. She's been interpreting there part-time for a year now. And so it's really awesome that she's been getting full-time recognition there. And I'll let her tell her story about that next time, because I won't tell it as well as she will, obviously, because it's her story. So I'm just gonna dive into the knitting. But before I do, if you're new here, thank you for checking out this podcast. Everything that I talk about will be linked in the description box below. And if for some reason I forgot something that you're looking for, please let me know. I can send it to you or update the description box to make sure everybody has it too. I have a couple of things that I've been working on that are finished, which is fun. I have some new cast-ons, and then I have some things that are just on the back burner that I'm just deciding to be okay with the fact that they're on the back burner. There we go. What I'm wearing right now is called the Phases sweater. It is by Jennifer Berg. It is so cute. It's this short sleeve tee, and of course you could make it long sleeve if you want. Because we make our own clothes, we can make them how we want. I made mine a little bit cropped down here, but I've decided after wearing it for a little while that I'm gonna take the ribbing off and do a little more of the blue and then put the ribbing back on, because I have more of the blue yarn. I have more of all of this yarn, really. It took way less than I thought it was gonna take to do the colors here, and these eyelets and these stripes are just really nice venting for really hot days. So it's been very hot here, very hot, and we've been going to swimming lessons almost every day and just having a summer of a time. This weekend, one of my nephews is celebrating his 5th birthday. I'm not a very good aunt when it comes to that, to knowing even when their birthdays are. I know that his birthday is the 28th though, so he's one of those we have a lot of kids that are around the same age, and he's one of those that's in between the ages of my kids, and I'm not sure which side he's on of which kids, so I should probably talk to him about that on his birthday. But there's going to be a bouncy house there, and so it's just full of good summer times right now, and I am just trying to facilitate fun and rest and continue unpacking. I just found all of my favorite stitch markers. I cleaned up over here a little bit. It was rough, and so that's been good. I'm in the place where, like, you're setting up your house, I just moved right here a few months ago, and at this point it's like you've set up some things and you're starting to put some things away, but like you don't know where they are because you put them away. That's where I'm at right now. So I just found all my stitch markers, which is really nice because I have some favorites in there that I really didn't want to lose or have to replace. But anyway, let's dive into FOs. I'm very excited about these. First of all, I have Max socks. Aren't they so cute? They're so cute. And they fit her a lot better now. With the first sock, I stopped at this purple stripe because my little OCD brain thought it would be great if her foot length was like a rainbow's length. But it's not. It's a little bit longer than that. And so when I finished the first one, she was walking around in them. She was having a great time, but the heel was just like, so it was just falling off. The whole thing was falling off her foot because it was too short. So I ripped that one back. Actually, I knit the other one, made sure that fit her foot, and then I ripped the other one back and knit it to match. So these are all done. This is a reinforced shadow wrap heel, so I just do a little slip stitch magic there. I should have done it here and here as well, but honestly I didn't know what I was gonna do heel wise, and I often do a heel flap and gusset because that fits their foot a little bit better, and maybe it fits their foot a little bit better because I'm more familiar with how that goes, with how that fit is. So I am still experimenting with that. I really like it though. It's super cute and easy to modify with the pattern. If you've not done a shadow wrap heel before, they're totally worth trying. If you watch Denise of Earth Tones Girls tutorial for it, she has a video, and I'll link it in the description. I have it saved in like this playlist I have of techniques, because I look up the same technique all the time. I have very few things memorized. I think Kitchener stitch and a tubular bind off because they're so similar, and that might be it. Like, I don't know how to do a long tail cast on without looking it up. I know how to do a knitted cast on, and I do that for almost everything. I absolutely love it, but there are very few things that I remember how to do without looking them up again. So if you're one of those people too, just know that it doesn't make you less of a knitter. You're still knitting things, it's fine. So the rainbow yarn is this rainbow self-striping yarn, and you can see that since I ended with the orange, this yellow is waiting for me here. So I have, this is them, Tall Pine Yarns, and it's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon, and it's 462 yards for 100 grams. So it's a little plumper than your, oh, it's actually not. It's a little bit longer than your average bear yarn. Isn't it usually 437 or something for 100 grams? Anyway, I have this one too, which I had to pull that off to get them to match because I had ended, you know, on the other side with the other one. So I'm thinking, could I start the next pair with the yellow, and then when I run out of the purple, we'll see. Maybe I can make it work. I don't know. It's not that complicated, but for some reason having this much of half a rainbow of yarn really doesn't do a lot for my the peace in my brain. So I also did the heels and toes with this one. It's a knitted wit, just a mini there, and it's called Pink Flavor, which I think is funny because I think that's how a kid would say it. I want the pink flavor. So she's just been wearing these. You can tell these are all like already flattened out from her walking on them and everything. And I did block them, and you can see I did magic loop for these, and I think this might be the first time I've done magic loop on purpose for a whole project. But this is, there's like this little ladder there, but be still your worried hearts. The more these stretch out and the more they get washed, it's just gonna sort itself out. So, and she does not care. She has not noticed, and so I'm just gonna keep working on my tension issues as I go. So there's that. FO number 1. These are so cute. She's so cute. I need to make some for Ro now. He's he's got pretty much the same size foot as she does. She's 4 and he's 2, and so there aren't really any hand-me-downs to speak of between the two of them. The other FO I have is a pair of socks for myself. Aren't these great? I'm so happy about these. Oh, don't they look good? Those colors are so good. They're getting a little washed out here. That's more like true to what they are. Isn't this speckled yarn really pretty? I actually really like how there was a little bit of like pooling right there. I think that is. No, it's just dark. It's just dark. Yeah, I really like that a lot. And those are made out of, the main yarn is Amber Waves of Fiber in the colorway Care Paravel, and that's a 75-25 sock as well. I only have 10 grams left of that one, so I'm excited to put it in another leftover sock somehow. I think it'll be really cute. So I used a 10-gram mini for the cuffs and heels, and actually I ran out a little bit. I don't think I used that mini for anything else, so I was surprised that I wasn't able to get 2 heels and 2 cuffs out of that. I only did 15 rows of ribbing up here because I was pretty sure, like, I only had a 10-gram mini, so I wasn't gonna mess around with it. But I had a the same yarn I used for my Musselburgh still left over, and it's a sport weight yarn, so I just threw that down there to finish off that heel turn. I was probably 6 rows away from being done with my heel flap, and it just ran out on me. So that's all right though. They're just for me, and they're leftover socks, and I want to do as many leftover socks during summer sock camp as I can. I'm very pleased with how these came out. This is a knitted wit mini in the colorway Cedar, and it is entirely gone. Like I said, I ran out actually. So, but I really like the color a lot, and I probably wouldn't have minded if I had to get another one, but I got it at my old local yarn store, and so they are not near me anymore, so I didn't really have the ability to get another one. I'm going to take these off the blockers because I actually want to wear these now that I'm done showing you. I am really excited because not only is it nice to have those done, but I only have one pair of socks that has survived the test of time and the washing machine. I made a couple of pairs of non-superwash socks that are now my son's because they are smaller and were accidentally thrown in there. So I think at this point a superwash nylon sock person, which I didn't want to be, but I think it's the only thing that works with my lifestyle as of right now as a mom of 4 kids, so that's okay though. Yeah, I'm sure my superwash yarn isn't going to put a dent into the superwash contributions of the military, so I am not losing any sleep over it. I love the way the heel turns look. I think they're so sweet. Like, look at that. Look at how that reinforcement goes all the way around. Tread heavy sock, yeah. And then those gusset decreases. Probably can't see them because it's focusing on my face. Look at those. Aren't those so pretty? Oh, I love it. I love it. Although I did mess up on one side of my socks, I still sometimes, I still sometimes get a little autopilot, and you can see that at one point my decreases moved over a stitch. Whatever. Oh, and I tried, instead of picking up my stitches on the heel flap with like knitting them, I tried with purling them so that the little place would be on the outside, and you can see my little pearls with the main yarn there. so that on the inside there wouldn't be a seam to rub on my foot. So you can see here, I wove that in, right? I just didn't cut it. Anyway, you can see there's not really a seam there in the same way that there would be, right? What is going on there? I didn't do it on that side. What? Autopilot took over again. I can show you though. That's kind of great. So you can see on the inside of this one, there isn't an edge that's gonna rub my foot at all. And on this side, there is. There's that seam there where you pick up the stitches. So, that's really funny. I thought I had it together. I did purl it on both of these sides though, I think. Yeah, so you can see there's no seam in there. It's on the outside because I did that's just little purl bumps. That's not a seam. The seam is on the outside here, right there. So I've been wondering if that would be more comfortable, and of course no one would notice from the outside really. Obviously I didn't notice that I didn't do it on one side. So on the outside it does look a little, does it look more polished there? I think even on this side, if I did do it there, because you can tell that one of the sides I do with a with the main yarn and one of them I do with the contrast yarn, but this one I purled that one out with the contrast yarn and it still looks really polished. So I like it a lot. I think it's a fun experiment, and I will keep you posted on if it makes a difference or not, and if I will continue knitting my heel flaps that way. So FO number 2, and both of those I actually posted in the summer sock camp threads in the Ravelry threads, which I've never done before. I participate in a lot of knit alongs, but sometimes I forget to, let me be clear, I knit along with a lot of knit alongs, but I don't post them sometimes. And I forget to participate in like the giveaway part, or I really like watching everybody's stuff, so I'm surprised that I forget that all the time. Okay, let's move on to whips. I have one that's half done because it's also a pair of socks, but I'm still in the midst of doing that one. So I have one that I can show you. Isn't this the cutest thing? I love it so much. I love it so much. Okay, so this pattern is by Stone Knits. It's called the Magical Toadstool Socks. And of course I did my reinforcement down here, like the tread heavy, and then I did my little slip stitch thing that I stole from Noble Character Crafts. She does that on all her socks, and I've started doing that on mine too. And these toadstools, first of all, let's just zoom in on that for a second, shall we? Isn't it the cutest thing? So there are 6 of them. So they're in a circle like a fairy ring. And this was fun because she gives you the option to do these white little specks as like duplicate stitch. Of course you always have that option, but she even, you know, presents that option in the pattern that you can do it that way if you want to. But I thought, you know what, I want to learn to do 3 colors at a time at some point anyway. Why not try it now where it's a low pressure situation? And if at some point I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that, then I can duplicate stitch over it and it'll be fine. But it turned out really well, and there's still price structure. I mean, there's some limits there, and we will see if they fit the foot of the intended person. I know the foot will fit her. I don't know if she will get her heel through here, because I tried them on and it was hard to get my foot in there. She has a shorter foot than me, so I'm hoping that works out. I have the other sock. It is not done. Is it not here? What? I brought it with me to my kids' swimming lessons, so it's in here. So I am doing the gusset decreases on this one. I haven't blocked that one on the sock blocker. Doesn't it look pretty good for not being blocked? If I do toot my own horn. This yarn is so wonderful. I don't know if I'll be able to come back from merino cashmere nylon blends for socks. I don't know. This is a merino cashmere nylon blend from Annie. She's changed her Instagram name recently, so I'll be sure to put the correct one up. She used to be known on Instagram as Annie Perrin. My mom used to always say the artist formerly known as Prince. Because that's a thing that she heard a lot growing up. And so it's gorgeous. This is one of her Encanto inspired yarns, and this one's called We Don't Talk About Bruno. It's very silvery, but there are greens in here that are just all over the place. So there's like this one, which is pretty bright right here, and then there's browns, and then there's like this Julie green that's in there. I have loved the way that this has knit up, and I've also just loved knitting with it, like watching the different kinds of greens as I'm knitting. I enjoy the really bright ones. I enjoy the jewel toned ones. It's just very pretty, and I'm excited to get these socks done, not just to have them off my needles and give them to their intended person, but also so that I can work with the yarn again on something else for me. So I'm excited about that. That'll be really nice. And I would like to get these done rather quickly, because I have some other cast-ons that I've done. I have some other socks that I'd like to cast on too while it's still summer sock camp. So now that I have this last pair on my needles, I think it'll move. Since this is the last sock that's on my needles, I think it could move pretty quickly. We'll see. Sometimes I get bored on the foot because it's mostly vanilla knitting, and so I should take it with me while I'm watching a show or something, or doing game night, or, you know, a place where I don't have to pay attention to what I'm doing for a while, because that's usually when I get a lot of it done, because I'm not bored with it. And I do that with vanilla knitting a lot, which, by the way, speaking of vanilla knitting and whips being on the back burner, I'm giving myself permission to put my Ola cardigan on the back burner, because it's beautiful and lovely, and I love working with the yarn that I'm working with, and I love the pattern. But now I'm on Body Island for a cardigan, which of course is knitting back and forth, and I love the design. I love all of it, but this is the hardest part for me to get through, is the body of something. I know some people really struggle with Sleeve Island, but I just really struggle with Body Island, especially when there's nothing, because most of the time in the body, that's where like the stability and the structure of the design lays, is in that vanilla knitting. And I understand why it's there, and I totally get it, but that part of the design is always the hardest for me to get through, especially if it's the last part that I have to do. Often I do the body first, because having sleeves to do is more motivating for me, but for the test knit I did the sleeves first, because having a yoke and a sleeve done for that test knit was making it complete. So I'm moving along with that body slowly but surely, but you probably won't see it for a while because I'm just giving myself permission to put it away for a second. Sorry, my phone had an issue there for a second. So anyway, being patient with myself about the cardigan, which is great. Moving on to little whips that I have now. They're all baby cast-ons basically, except for these slippers. These are aren't they just, they look like troll slippers right now? But that's because I'm gonna felt them. I'm gonna put the name of the free pattern for the felted slippers that I'm using, but I am modifying them to be a double thick felted slipper. So I have one of each of what I want to be the outside, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make two more. I'm gonna turn them inside out and put them inside there, and then probably do like a 3-needle bind off on the top or something so that they'll stay where they're supposed to be. I started doing, this is shepherd's wool in the berries colorway. I made a whole sweater out of this, and it's so scrumptious. I love it so much. And then I'm gonna make the inside, see how far this gets me, the Patagonia Organic Merino is what this is. And I think the color, yes, the color is mahogany. So I'm holding this double because this is a fingering weight, and then the pattern calls for a worsted weight. I'm assuming you could use like a combination of a lot of things, because the gauge of a felted item doesn't need to be exact, because what is actually more important is how severely it's felted is like the determination of how well it's going to fit you. So I've never made any felted anything before. I'm very intrigued as to how these turn out. I sit in this chair to knit a lot, almost exclusively. When I'm knitting, I'm sitting in this chair. And there is an air conditioning vent right by my feet over here when I'm knitting. And that is what inspired me to make these. I really, really want some felted slippers so that no air conditioning air can get through to my toes anymore. I do have my all done socks, which is nice. So now I have 2 pairs of socks that fit my feet well and haven't, been run through the washer too many times. So that's nice. But I think these are just going to be, especially come winter time. Indiana winters are hard sometimes. And okay, Indiana winters are hard every time. Just depends on the, how hard, I guess. Januaries are rough for us. So having some really cozy things set aside for that, I think it's going to really help with that season. So this is going to be, I don't think this is going to be enough to do both slippers. So what I'm probably going to do is weigh this. I should have weighed it before I started. But I didn't. So I'm going to weigh it now before I keep going. And then when I'm, close to halfway, so this probably is, I don't know, maybe 5-6 grams, I'm thinking. So if I get close to that, I'll probably put on another yarn, because with the construction of this, what will happen is there would be like a line on the bottom of a different color, and I think that would be cute to see on the inside of a little slipper. So that's what I'm going to be doing with that. And then the next thing that I have cast on is the Brioche-licious. I I always end it with a sh. I'm trying to say Brioche-licious shawl by Andrea Mowry. And I just cast this on a few days ago. I have another shawl on my needles, but I cast that on a couple of months ago, and it wouldn't have counted for Ruth Ruth Loves to Knit podcast and Monkeys and Me podcast is doing a across the pond shawl knit along for 2022. They did one last year and they said they had so much fun. I wasn't involved in it last year, but also I might have heard about it last year and not cared. And that's because last year I didn't think shawls were like a thing that I would like or be into. And now I love a lot of them. And to me, now shawls are just like sweaters. Now it's just preference. Like, there are obviously some sweaters you're not going to like, and there are some that you are going to like. And there are obviously some shawls you're not going to like, and some you are going to like. The utilitarian factor of shawls was not clear to me at the time until I was knitting Stephen West Shawlography, which is funny that I was knitting that when I didn't think shawls were something you needed, but I knew it would be pretty, so that's why I did it. And as I was knitting that shawl, I have this really small quilt that was made for me when I was a child, and I've had it forever. I actually recently had to dispose of it. It was heartbreaking because it was just falling apart, and I even asked a quilting friend, like, is there any way to save this? And she was like, I hate to tell you this, but you've actually just waited too long. There's no way to bring it back together at this point. Maybe you could cut out some of the good squares to like hang on the wall or something. And I was like, wow, I'm not that sentimental, so I pitched it. But yeah. But that's okay. Things aren't meant to last forever. In fact, it was made all out of cotton, and so it's just been well loved, and that's what happens with things that aren't made of plastic that you love on a lot. So, but I wore that quilt like in a triangle. I folded this square quilt in a triangle and would wear it around my shoulders because my house was cold in the morning. And then I was like, oh, so I effectively use this as a shawl. And I've been like trying to figure out how shawls are useful when I wear a shawl pretty much every morning with this quilt. So, okay then. So now we've moved into loving shawls, which is fun because that opens up a whole new category, a whole new world of knitting patterns and possibilities and ways to wrap yourself up with wool, which is really nice. So I obviously don't have very much going on here. This is marking my right side of the fabric because with brioche it's helpful to have that marked, but also I was not aware that the parts of the shawl that weren't brioche were garter. So when I figured that out when I noticed, I guess. It's not like it's a hidden feature. When I noticed that, I thought, oh, well, that sounds great to do garter and brioche and switch back and forth. So I'm probably halfway through this first section here, and it's already squishy and so good. This is Knit Pick Stroll undyed yarn, a fingering weight yarn, and I'm in love with it. I love it so much. It's just a 75-25 sock yarn, but it's super squunchy. It's really good. And I also am dealing with the cognitive dissonance of like telling myself that I probably won't ever knit a fingering weight or sport weight sweater again after I did my DRK everyday sweater. But this will be the third time that I'm making a fingering weight shawl that includes like 4 or 5 different colors and is super big. So there's that. Also, I so this is my little band for that. It's Stroll undyed. I think that Michaela like orders it wholesale or something, so that's how I got it, and I love it. I caked up this part, but because it's not hanked up, obviously it's bare yarn, so the reason that they don't have it hanked up is because it's easier for people to dye if it's just like big old loops, right, that you would put your little 8 ties around and do your figure 8 ties around, and then your whatever you're going to hold it with, right? So I thought that I got it all right, and I snapped it and everything, and then I put it over my Swift, and then I got about this much wound up, and for some reason it was a mess on the Swift. So I just have this connected to my knitting, and whenever I get to a part that's like kind of snagged, I like weave it through a few places, and then I keep knitting, and then it gets to where it's kind of stuck, and then I weave it through a few more places, so eventually it'll be untangled. For a minute I was trying to just ball it up and untangle it, but it doesn't really bother me to have it this small and just kind of untangle it piece by piece as I go. It's actually a little less stressful to me, which I don't know why. Maybe because it feels like it takes less time, and of course it looks more orderly if I'm knitting it up. So it's a process. It's a process, and it's fine. I will be relieved though once this is all knit up. I don't think that it'll be all knit up in the first section of garters, so I bet in that first section of brioche though I'll be to where I can attach that cake instead. And I know some people don't even bother with it. If it's something like this, they just chuck it, but to me this is usable. Like, this is still good yarn that just takes a second, so I'm gonna take a second and use it, and that's fine. So we've got that Brioche-licious. Ooh, guys, I've been saying Brioche-licious a lot because I keep messing it up, and so I keep trying to say it right. And those last 2 times were probably, it's hard. It's hard for me to do consistently, basically. The last cast on I have right now is a Musselburgh, which might be surprising, maybe not to some of you. It's just this baby cast on right now. And I don't do the fancy cast on for this. I just take my tail, which isn't as long as I want it to be. Well, we can make it work. I just take my tail and loop it through my cast on stitches and then cinch it up like you would the end of a hat. So if you've avoided the Musselburgh because of the cast on, just live your life and cast it on and just cinch it up that way, because I've knit 5 Musselburghs. I knit 1 for my sister, 1 for myself, 2 for a couple of friends. So maybe I've only knit 4. Maybe this is Musselburgh number 5. I've been thinking about making myself another one, but this is for my brother-in-law Ned, and I can say that because the likelihood of him watching this podcast is, I think, very low. He's a very nice brother-in-law, but I don't know that I've even told him I have a knitting podcast, so that would make it extremely low. But this is for him. His birthday is in August, and he is just a sweet guy. I was talking to my sister about he has this hat that he wears a lot in the winter. And I've just been storing it like this. Isn't that fun? I don't normally use 5D pins, but with this I do, just because of the symmetry of the hat. It makes it a lot easier and I don't have to use as many stitch markers. But I was talking to my sister about this hat that he wears a lot in the fall, in the winter time, and I was like, I know he has that kind of favorite hat. Would it be okay to like make him some socks instead? Is there something that he would like more? And she said, actually, I think he would be fine with a hat. Of course, he can always wear more than one hat, but also the hat that he wears, he doesn't necessarily wear it because it's his favorite functionally. He wears it because Megan gave it to him, and Megan is our older sister and she crochets, and she was like, early on when she was crocheting, she gave him this crochet hat and he wears it so much because it was a gift from her. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. Like, he can have that one for the days that aren't as cold, and I can give him a Musselburgh for days he needs like a double thing on his ears and have it be really close, right? I can give him that for those days. So I think this is going to work out really well. And this is, oh no, I about knocked you down. Sorry. This is, I want to make sure I'm grabbing the right one. Jody Long Alba Merino Alpaca Luxury Tweed Blend. So there are two colors that I have. I have a Kingfisher color and a Gorse color. And so I haven't caked this up because I think I'm actually going to use this in a fingering weight way. This I've doubled up and caked up. But you can see the tweed in this a lot more. This has some in it, but it's harder to see. You can see some there. It's just not as tweedy as the other one. Maybe there's some more. You can see some in there. But sometimes with yarn like this, I'm like, is that tweed or did I just get lint on the yarn? But when it's knit up, I think you're going to be able to see it a lot better. And obviously, since this is lighter, it's a lot easier to see the flecks in there. Oh, there are my glasses. They're wrapped up in my shawl whip. That's cool. Okay, I'm gonna set these out because I'm gonna need those. I have, am I dropping more things? I'm dropping more things. Whatever. It's still all connected. Okay. So I have my shawl for the As You Wish make along, and I won't go into detail with it here because I have a whole, oh my goodness, look at how long it's getting. I haven't held it up in a while. Guys, that's so great. Oh. The mystery part of the knit along has been, the knit along has been long over, but I'm still going for it on this thing. And I do videos about each clue. So I'm about to be done with clue 4, so that means I'm going to be doing clue 3 and clue 4 all in the same video. And part of that is because I thought there were only 4 clues, and then I was looking at the pattern and I was like, wow, this says that it has this many pages and I'm only on this page, and I'm just about to start clue 4. Clue 4 is really long. And then I realized, no, you still have 2 clues left to do. And I got pretty discouraged for a minute, even though I wanted to be a big shawl. But I still, for just a second, was sitting there thinking, what? Okay. Maybe I only want to knit 4 clues though. But that's okay. That's just me being trained by Stephen West last year and the only mystery knit along I've ever been a part of. So, well, mystery shawl knit along that I've ever been a part of. So anyway, there we go. But it's it's getting there and it's gonna be beautiful. I'm thinking about giving it to my grandma because I've given my shawlography to one grandma. Of course, that's my husband's grandma, but I have two of my own birth grandmothers, and so I'm probably going to be giving this to her and then make another one for my one last grandma who needs a shawl. So it'll be nice, I think, for her, and I'll just put a little note in there to be sure to hand wash it and just lay it out, because one of these, this green one, is a non-superwash yarn, so I wouldn't want her to felt it up accidentally. Okay, acquisitions. I have this stroll fingering weight yarn, and it is undyed, and you can see like it's just kind of in a wholesale form for a dyer. I got these from Michaela the Maker. She is a wonderful yarn dyer who is, I'm not sure if she's done forever or if she's just taking a break. But she was doing a huge destash of all of her dyeing stuff. And so I got 5 skeins of this fingering weight undyed yarn, and I really like it, just the way it is. So I've been thinking about having a fun time, just, one evening figuring out some dyeing stuff with maybe some tea or some onion skins or something, just have a fun time. I'm not prepared to invest in dyeing like acid dyes or anything, just because, yeah, I know there would be endless combinations of what I could do with that, but I'm not ready to dive into that. There are some other crafts that I would rather spend like time and resources on first. Who knows, maybe I'll dye some things in that way sometime. But I love naturally dyed yarn, and that is like kind of a segue into the next thing. If you've been here for a minute, then you know that I love knitting Nakabi yarn. Kelsey of Knitting Nakabi, she has a couple of clubs. They're bi-monthly clubs, so it's every other month, and she does a mythical creatures club, which is, the colorways in that club are so fun. And then she does an herbology club, which you don't really see the inspiration for the colorway because she doesn't even know what color it's going to be. It's just, what it's going to be dyed with. So that is so fun, and every time the yarn shows up, it smells so good. Like we're yarn sniffers anyway, right? But this makes it nearly impossible. To keep my nose off this. It's so good. She also makes her own teas, like as if she wasn't good enough at one thing. And this is an Earl Grey cream tea. I could not be happier with the tea choice this time. Like, I like the other ones as well, but this one, I almost broke into it as soon as it came in. But I can't find my loose leaf tea stuff right now. So I might steal a loose leaf strainer from my mom's house the next time I'm there so that I can just enjoy it. And then I have, there were just these little extra flower die cuts in there, which are so cute, and I'm probably gonna put in a journal or something. These go like this. Can you tell I'm not an herbalist? Anyway, they're so sweet. I like them a lot, and I've just been enjoying seeing them even just on my desk. They're just beautiful. And then there is this lotion bar in here, which I've been dying to try. I actually wanted to try it when I was around you guys. A royal lotion bar. And it has, oh my goodness, I didn't even know, it's like this circle of hearts. Look at that with the cornflowers in there. I didn't even say the flower of, or the flower, the herb, flower? It's the herbology colorway, so I think I can call it an herb, of this package was the cornflower. Oh, that's just, I just thought it was gonna be a little circle. Look at that. Am I supposed to take it out? I'm sure I'm supposed to take it out. Ooh. Ooh, I can refrigerate it if it's getting, I should probably do that because it is, you know, all y'all know, especially those of you in the UK. I am so sorry. Those of you in the UK, heavens. Oh, that's very nice. I put lotion on like this. Does anybody else do that? Where they rub it on the backs of their hands and then they'll do this and get it on the palms? I've done that, I think, my entire adult life. I don't know why. I don't know why. But I do it like that all the time. Anyway. Wow, that's good stuff. Karamniko is where that's from. It's very nice. Very nice stuff. Yeah, all the natural things. Oh, there's ylang ylang in there. No wonder I like it so much. Okay, and then she threw in a mini of her shroom colorway, which she knows I really like. So that was very nice. Thank you, Kelsey. You just know me so well. And it's just a little sweet thing that she sent for me. And I love this Corriedale. This is her Corriedale mohair sock base. And it's just like the little fuzzy, there you go. The fuzziness of it is just so great. And it's a natural sock yarn because it's very hardy, but I think I'm gonna, now that I have 60 grams of it, I think I'm gonna put it in a shawl. I think it would be gorgeous, wouldn't it? I'm very excited about that possibility. So I've been hanging on to that and the other 40 grams that I have of the shroom to like keep it on hand. I'm probably gonna decide on whether I should put it in like which shawl to put it in when I can see some color options of the West Knits knit along in October, unless I can get another Brioche-licious done. I think that would be cool. Maybe you can see that cone of Holskarn. I still have quite a bit of that, and I think it would look lovely as the main color of a Brioche-licious. Wow. I'm just gonna keep trying, folks. And then put the shroom as one of the, probably the last brioche section on it. Wouldn't that be yummy? It would be so yummy. Okay, and then this, I was actually holding Acquisitions in it because the chair was full when I came to sit down after I had gathered them all. This is a project bag that was given to me by my grandma. Isn't it cute? She made it, and she used to use it when she was still knitting. She doesn't knit anymore because it hurts her hands and it's not as enjoyable for her anymore. But this is one of the bags that she made, and it's all felted. Like, she knit it and then she felted it up, and it's wonderful. She even made like little pockets in it for, like, you can have your pattern in there. I think this one is supposed to be for a phone. There's one for like longer needles if you're using some straight needles in there. There's a long one here. I think this is for like pins. If you've got like a darning needle or something, you can stick it in there and it won't scrape your hand. So it's just really sweet, and then the handles cinch it up. So it's really nice. It's from my husband's grandma. She and my husband's grandpa have, they call him Papa. And so do I. It's like, it sounded like I was like, no, I'm not going to call you that. I call him Papa too. But my husband's Papa and Grandma, like from the moment that I met them, they have treated me like I was their own. And so she just gives me some beautiful things, especially when she learned I was knitting. She's the one I gave my shawlography to in December, and they're just lovely, lovely, lovely people, and we enjoy any time that we get to spend with them. So here's more knitting Nakabi yarn that I've stashed in here. This is for some Christmas stockings for my sister, and I'm gonna have to cast this on soon. So the blue, this is the idea, okay? So we're gonna have red, green, blue, white, and different combinations for 4 different stockings. But this Strawberry Fields wasn't quite what one of her sons was looking for, and I thought it was gonna be a little bit deeper, but I have a blue light filter on my phone, and I often forget to take it off when I'm looking at different colorways and things, and I think that affects my perception of what the yarn will be when I get it. But I still love this, so I told my sister I was gonna keep it anyway, and that she could pay for these other ones for her stockings. So this one, that one is Strawberry Fields. This one is Green Gables, but it's in the BFL yarn, so it's just so toothy and hardy and good. And this one is called Cookie Monster, and I think that's gonna be great, and that's on merino. And all of her stuff is non-superwash and naturally dyed. I really love all of her stuff. It's just so yummy. I think, how long ago was it that her sock pattern came out? She has 2 sock patterns. She has, I think it's called the Funny Pair, which are really cute. And then she has the Musala socks, which are beautiful and were inspired by like the architecture of mosques, which they're really, really pretty socks. And the last acquisition is this book. It's called The Contrasts book by Lane. Sometimes I haven't said it in a while and I forget how to say it instead of just read it. But this is full of textured knits. So the contrasts thing is all about textured stuff. So there are a ton of sweaters in here and shawls that are just absolutely gorgeous. They have a lot of things like this, which are like lacy goodness, but it's mostly like, it's not so much lace in here, even though there are some that have a little bit of lace. It's mostly just textured stuff. So like this one, you can see, is gorgeous. I love all of the textured knits. Like really, it's an obsession. They're so good. They're so good. And I can't get over this red one, which she has on in the front, on the front cover. I love that one. It's so all over cabling, I believe. And I had trouble finding it online, so I ordered it from a yarn shop called Knits and Pieces. I forget where they're from. Annapolis. In Annapolis? So is it Annapolis? The the capital of Indiana is Indianapolis, so I'm so used to saying Annapolis. But anyway, they're there. So they were very sweet, and at one point I was like, hey, it's been a while, and I ordered this book a while ago, and I haven't received it. Can you, like, update me on what's going on? And she was like, yeah, she was so nice. And she was like, yeah, we already did update you. We sent you an email, like, 2 weeks ago about how it was delayed. And I was like, oh. And I looked back, and I saw her email, and I was like, oh. Thank you very much. Yes, I will continue to wait for that. Thank you. Oh my. I almost forgot, which I forgot last time too, to show you, which is so silly because I think because I just immediately started using these things in my life that they weren't like in an acquisitions pile or anything. So when sock camp started, I got myself a little scrappy Sunday mug, which I was gonna use to remind me to do scrappy things on Sunday. But it hasn't really helped with that. But it is a cute mug, and I like the camping style mugs a lot. So that's good. And then I got one of her rose gold stitch marker tins. So I don't want them to dump out on me. There's these rainbow ones, which of course you can use like for your beginning of round or something. And then there are a lot of rose gold ones, which makes sense because Kay, the crazy sock lady, she does she marks her socks every 10 rows so that she can like see where she is on both of them. Then it has this cute little sock camp logo on it, which is nice. And then I also got a summer sock camp wild card pin here because there are different cabins for sock camp, and one is magic loop, and one is DPNs, and one is 9-inch circulars, and the other one is wild card, and that's for people who don't like necessarily do their socks on the same thing every time, and or if you use two different methods for your sock every time. And what I've started doing is doing them on 9-inch circulars, doing the heel flaps with DPNs, continuing on with 9-inch circulars, and then closing them off with magic loop, which is funny to have all three in the same sock, but it actually works really well, and I don't mind using any of them for any part of the sock. I think whatever gets you around that circle is what you should use. So there you go. And then I had I was waiting for some stitch markers from We Grow Wild. She makes these gorgeous olive wood buttons, which I still haven't been able to catch yet because they go so fast, which is good, but I'd like to get some eventually. And she has these spoon stitch markers that I really like. In fact, you probably saw it on this side. I put a spoon one on where the SSK is because it's helpful to me to remember, like spoon, SSK. Also, I usually put a fancier stitch marker on this side because a knit two together seems less fancy than an SSK. So it just helps me remember, even though sometimes I still go on autopilot and forget. But I was waiting for her stitch markers for a while, and it was not her fault at all. It was the postal service. They were coming from overseas, and I had moved and I was getting my mail forwarded, but I wasn't sure if I was gonna get them. So I messaged her, and she told me, it's been taking a while for a few people in the States. Here's your tracking number. Let me know if there's a problem. And they were like 2 days away or something by the time I contacted her. And so I was like, oh no, they're coming. Don't worry about it. It's great. So she still sent me more though, even though I told her I was getting them, and just to thank me for supporting their shop. So now I have 9, which is really nice because I use them all the time. They're so little and cute. I use them on my socks. Like that's pretty much what I do now, is I use one of these on my socks for that SSK side the whole time it's on the sock. So now I could have 9 socks on the needles and not even want for a stitch marker. So thank you for sending those to me. You should see her summer outfits video that she did recently. It's about knit outfits that are inspired by different flowers, and it's so cute. It's so cute. First of all, she's so great and fun to watch, but her partner was helping her with this video, and he like guessed which outfit was inspired by which flower, and it was just very sweet. Like their interactions were very sweet, and yeah, it was really good. It's a really fun video, and she has some really pretty summer knits there. So if you're, I'm gonna stop touching this table now because I don't want to knock you over. I'll stop flirting with fate there. What was I saying? Oh, she has some really great knits for summer knits, if that's something you're looking for inspiration for. I think that's everything. Although I'll probably come back next time with something that I forgot to tell you or show you. But if you made it to the end of the podcast, leave me a little emoji. I love knowing who's watched the whole thing. That's always so fun for me. And I hope you have a great day, and leave me a little comment about how you're doing. How's the weather where you are? Is it as stifling as it is here? And what are you knitting on? Are you able to knit on anything right now? I know some people are choosing smaller projects right now, and some people just can't find it within themselves to knit at all. So I hope you're in the space where either you are able to knit or you're okay with the fact that you're not able to right now. See you next time. Happy knitting. We find the right one? Yeah. We did. Can you hold it up? Hold it up to this one. Can you put it next to it so we can see? Yeah. Oh, there it is. We got the right one, huh?
Got it done.
He's all done?
Yeah.
Great.